Well, hi there. Welcome to the Fair Wage Calculator video, where I'll show you how to use this calculator in your own handmade, creative, or craft business, because figuring out what our fair hourly wage is an important piece of our pricing strategy. So I'm Nancy Smith, aka the Yarny Bookkeeper, and you've gotten access to the Fair Wage Calculator via a freebie on my website, through a Handmade Business Bookkeeping Academy membership, or if you purchased the 10-minute bookkeeper handmade business spreadsheet bookkeeping system. For those of you who don't know me, I'd like to take a quick minute to introduce myself to you. I'm a maker, mostly amigurumi, and I knit as well as crochet. I'm a career bookkeeper. I've been a bookkeeper working with numbers for well over 30 years. But here's the thing. I'm not your bookkeeper, meaning I can't offer you personal advice about bookkeeping for your business because I don't know any of the specifics of what you do. But I can offer you general advice that could have a positive impact on your business. I'm also not a CPA. And while I do have an associate's degree in accounting, taxes was just never anything I wanted to do. My mission is to empower handmade, creative, and craft business owners to understand their bookkeeping and finances so they know they're making the money they deserve. So, okay, enough about me. Let's talk about coming up with a fair hourly wage for the time you spend making a finished item or designing a pattern. So, have you spent hours Googling how to price handmade items? Maybe you've read a lot of the pricing how-tos and the formulas just made your eyes glaze over, and they all talk about this mysterious hourly wage. You get so discouraged and confused that you might just end up pricing your items using that old cost of materials times 3 method, which is a pricing method that's been hanging around for years, and I still see a lot of folks in various Facebook groups recommending it. Other people say use the minimum wage rate for your state and add the cost of materials. Well, sometimes these pricing formulas work, but most of the time they don't. So, calculating your fair hourly wage includes knowing how much you really want to pay yourself on a monthly basis after all your business expenses, including taxes. Let's face it, we started our handmade business to make money. To pay ourselves, right? Or to contribute to the family finances. So you need to know how many hours per week you really have to work in or on your business. This includes actual crafting time, plus all the other time that you spend on marketing, selling, and admin tasks. It's important to be realistic here because it's tempting to say, oh, I have all week, a full 40 hours. But in reality, that just doesn't happen because you end up spending hours aimlessly scrolling through Instagram, Pinterest, Facebook, etc. Those hours you spend aimlessly scrolling don't count as work hours. If you have no idea how much time you actually spend working in or on your business, I urge you to download a free time tracking app like Toggle Track and use it for a week. And you can get it at toggl.com. Okay. You also need to know what your business has for expenses. All right, because you have to factor in all of the business expenses that you have so that those costs are also covered. You need to know how much you need to set aside for taxes so you aren't surprised by a huge tax bill when you file your taxes at the end of the year. And you have to have revenue goals. You need to know what those goals are by month and by year to cover what you want to pay yourself, your expenses, and your taxes. Okay, wait. No groaning, because the fair wage calculator works differently than many of the other methods, and you don't have to do all that complicated math. You just have to plug in numbers, and it does all the work for you. So it's all broken out into steps. So first you need to figure out how much you want to pay yourself every month. Now, this is the actual money that you need or want to take out of your business on a monthly basis as an owner's draw to pay yourself and or contribute to the family budget. Remember, the most important things about running a business is the ability to actually pay yourself, cover your expenses, and make sure that you're setting aside money for taxes. So for the purpose of this demonstration, let's say I want to pay myself $800 a month. So I'll enter $800 in this pink highlighted block here. You can see it automatically pops up and says annually, that's $9,600. Okay? Super simple, all the math. Step 2, figure out how many hours a week on average you have available to work in and on your business. So let's say I only have 15 hours a week that I can actually sit down and work in or on my business. Remember that this includes both crafting and admin time. So I'm going to enter 15 in that pink highlighted cell for step 2. So that tells me I have roughly 780 hours a year that I'm spending in or on my business. So automatically the calculator says, okay, that's $12.31 per hour. Okay? But wait, there's more. So step 3 is where the bookkeeping comes into play. Don't groan, all right? This should be the information that you already have from your bookkeeping records, because you need to know what your overhead expenses are in order to make sure that your business covers all of them and that you get to pay yourself that $800 a month. Now, you can enter your expenses either on a monthly or yearly basis, okay? So, you know, if you have something that you only pay once a year, go ahead and put it in that annual column. So I'm just going to plug in some numbers here in step 3, and I'm show you how simple it is. First of all, I'm going to budget $30 a month for inventory purchases, because I've vowed to use up my stash, but once in a while I just have to spend money to replenish something that I ran out of. So I'm going to give myself $30 a month here, which is $360 a year. All right. Now I'm going to come down here to indirect materials and supplies, and I'm going to budget $15 a month. Now, these indirect materials and supplies, those are the little things that I just don't keep in inventory because they're such a royal PIA to keep track of. You know, things like thread, or, you know, maybe I buy a tube of seed beads and, you know, I use 4 or 5 in a finished item. I'm not keeping that in inventory because, good grief, it's just a pain. All right. So then I'm going to say $80 a year in merchant account fees, $45 a year in purchased patterns, $30 a year in small tools and equipment. Oops, I didn't. 45. There we go. $30 a year in, $35 a year for taxes. Down here. Now, you'll notice that I have put in a list of items, okay? Now, if you just access this as a freebie, these are common expenses that your business could have. If you access this through the 10-minute bookkeeper bookkeeping system, go ahead and change these titles or categories to line up with the categories on your spreadsheet system, okay? Sorry. All right. So for software, I have $800 a year. Dues, memberships, and subscriptions, I have $350. Website expenses, $500. And then business education, $300. Okay, so you plug in those numbers, it totals it all up. Okay, and it gives you your annual overhead. So now we're looking at that calculation section. We're going to take our annual overhead, add that to our desired income. That means we come up with a subtotal of $12,280, and our hourly overhead is $3.44. Okay? I'll just give you a second to digest that. But wait, we also have to take other things into consideration, like taxes. All right? Ouch. Now, the calculator has a built-in formula of 33%, and if your tax bracket from your tax return is different, you can just come right up in here in that cell and you can change that 33% to 30 or 25 or whatever just by typing right over it. All right. Oops. Just don't do what I did. Okay. So that means you need to have set aside $3,168 for taxes, which means that your revenue goal for the year should be $15,488 to cover taxes, your annual income, and your overhead. And that boils down to $1,287.33 as a revenue goal for each month. It also says that, hey, your fair hourly wage is $19.80 per hour. Okay. So if we scroll back to the top and we look at that $12.31 as an annual wage, you can see that, man, that's a far cry from that actual amount that we should be charging. Okay. Now, this $19.80 per hour is the amount that you should enter or use as your fair hourly wage in either the cost of goods sold and pricing calculator or the pattern pricing calculator, also available from my website or included in the 10-minute bookkeeper handmade business spreadsheet bookkeeping system course available on my site. Okay, so I'm not telling you that the fair wage calculator is 100% foolproof, because it's not. There are simply too many variables involved for it to be. But it's designed to give you an idea of what you should be charging if you want to pay yourself, cover your expenses, and your taxes. This fair wage calculator is just another tool for you to use in your business. So, how did you compare? I mean, some of you may be appalled by what the fair wage calculator comes up with for you as a fair hourly wage. So I went and did a little digging. Now I'm going to bamboozle you with statistics and numbers, because I went to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics website and dug around and found their occupational employment and wage statistics for craft artists, and this is what I found. Now, keep in mind that all of this information is based on data that was compiled and released as of May 2023. So it's a little outdated, but that's the government for you. It always takes them a long time to pull all of this info together and publish it. First, they categorize a craft artist as anyone who creates or produces or reproduces handmade objects for sale and exhibition using a variety of techniques such as welding, weaving, pottery, and needle crafts. Okay, so that really is us. So let's take a look at their findings. So employment. This means that 5,830 people responded to a wage survey, and that's based on all 50 states. The employment RSE of 7.1%. Now, RSE stands for Relative Standard Error, and it's simply a way to measure the reliability of the survey. The smaller the number, in this case 7.1, the more precise the estimate is. So at 7.1%, the results are, pretty okay. All right. Now, the mean hourly wage of $20.97 is basically the average hourly wage throughout the U.S. Okay, so in my case, that $19 and change, that's right in there. Okay. Now, the mean annual wage is a calculation based on full-time employment, which is considered year-round full-time hours, or 2,080 hours per year. Okay, now, obviously, I can't do full-time, okay, which means, I'm not going to be making $43,000 a year. Now, the wage RSE, or the relative standard for error, is 3.4%. So this means it's pretty darn accurate. So let's look at that second chart. The percentile wage estimates for craft artists. I know this looks pretty confusing, so let's just break it down really simple. Basically, the people who responded were paying themselves anywhere from $10.10 per hour on the low end to $32.68 per hour for the high end, okay? Which gives annual incomes between $21,000 and $67,000 per year. Remember, you need to pay yourself what you're worth. You're a business owner now, not a hobby maker. So, if you need more bookkeeping help, well, you can join the Handmade Business Academy, a yearly membership, and gain access to all the bookkeeping resources I've done to date, plus any new items I provide. You can find out more information by clicking that link, yarnybookkeeper.com Bookkeeping Academy, or you can simply go to yarnybookkeeper.com and using the menu at the top, click on the courses link. That's it. I hope you found the fair wage calculator to be eye-opening, and you all have a great day. Bye.